The name resonates through history, a somber echo of a day that hurled a nation into global conflict. USS Arizona. More than steel and steam, more than a vessel of war, she became a symbol, an instant tomb for over 1,000 souls, and ultimately a sacred memorial. Her story is not just one of destruction, but of a transformation from a proud warship into an enduring monument that speaks to sacrifice, unpreparedness, and the profound human cost of conflict. On a tranquil Sunday morning in paradise, the course of history for the USS Arizona, and indeed for the United States, was about to change forever. In the early 20th century, the world's navies were locked in an arms race, a contest to build the biggest, most powerful battleships. These were the super dreadnoughts, floating fortresses that symbolized national might. It was into this era that the USS Arizona was conceived. As a Pennsylvania-class battleship, she and her sister ship, the USS Pennsylvania, were designed to be formidable instruments of naval power. Construction began at the New York Navy Yard, with her keel laid down on March 16, 1914. A little over a year later, on June 19, 1915, the massive hull slid into the water, launched with fanfare and named in honor of the 48th state, then the newest addition to the Union. Commissioned into the United States Navy on October 17, 1916, the USS Arizona was a behemoth of her time. She stretched 608 feet, or approximately 185.3 meters in length, with a beam of 97 feet, about 29.6 meters. Her displacement was a hefty 31,400 tons, and powerful turbines could drive her through the seas at a respectable 21 knots, roughly 39 kilometers per hour. Her main armament was a fearsome array of 12 14-inch or 356mm guns, housed in 4 massive triple turrets, 2 forward and 2 aft, capable of hurling enormous shells over vast distances. Supporting these were 22 5-inch or 127mm guns, designed to engage smaller, faster targets. Despite being commissioned during World War I, the USS Arizona did not see combat in that conflict. Her service was primarily stateside, focused on training and readiness exercises. One of her notable early duties following the armistice was escorting President Woodrow Wilson aboard the transport USS George Washington to the Paris Peace Conference in December 1918, a symbol of America's growing role on the world stage. The 1920s saw the Arizona engage in peacetime operations. She honed her skills in the Atlantic and Caribbean, participating in routine exercises and fleet maneuvers. In 1921, she was transferred to the Pacific Fleet, making a new home port in San Pedro, California. Throughout the decade, she took part in the Navy's Fleet Problems, large-scale annual exercises that tested naval strategy, tactics, and new technologies, crucial for an interwar Navy seeking to maintain its edge. By the late 1920s, naval technology and warship design had continued to evolve. Like many warships of her generation, the Arizona was due for a significant upgrade to keep her effective. Between 1929 and 1931, she underwent a major modernization at the Norfolk Navy Yard in Virginia. The overhaul was extensive, dramatically altering her appearance and enhancing her capabilities. Her original cage masts, a distinctive feature of early dreadnoughts, were replaced with heavier tripod masts, which could better support updated fire control equipment. Anti-torpedo bulges were added to her hull, increasing her beam to 106 feet, or about 32.3 meters, and providing better protection against underwater explosions. Her deck armor was thickened to improve defense against plunging shells and aerial bombs, a growing threat. The ship's anti-aircraft defenses were also upgraded. Her older 3-inch guns were replaced with more effective 5-inch, 25-caliber anti-aircraft guns. Even her engineering plant received attention, with new boilers and turbines installed to maintain her performance. It's worth noting that in 1941, some of her 5-inch 51-caliber secondary guns were removed in anticipation of installing new 1.1-inch anti-aircraft machine cannon mounts. But the attack on Pearl Harbor occurred before these new weapons could be fitted, leaving those positions empty. Fresh from her refit, the modernized USS Arizona returned to service with a renewed sense of purpose. In March 1931, she had the honor of transporting President Herbert Hoover and his entourage to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Soon after, she rejoined the Pacific Fleet, where she would spend the remainder of her career. The 1930s were a period of increasing global tension, but for the Arizona, it was largely a continuation of peacetime duties. She participated in relief efforts following the 1933 Long Beach earthquake in California, showcasing the humanitarian role navies can play. In a lighter moment, she even made a brief appearance in the 1934 James Cagney film, Here Comes the Navy, a glimpse of Hollywood glamour for the hard-working battleship. However, the geopolitical landscape was darkening. Imperial Japan's expansionist ambitions in Asia and the Pacific were causing increasing concern in Washington. In a move intended as a strategic deterrent, President Franklin D. Roosevelt made the momentous decision in 1940 to shift the main base of the U.S. Pacific Fleet from San Diego, California, to Pearl Harbor in the territory of Hawaii. The USS Arizona, along with the other battleships of the fleet, made the move. She became a regular sight on Battleship Row, the line of moorings off Ford Island, little knowing this idyllic harbor would become her final resting place. The morning of Sunday, December 7, 1941, dawned warm and clear over Pearl Harbor. For the sailors and Marines of the Pacific Fleet, it was expected to be a typical Sunday, a day of rest, religious services, and perhaps some light duties. Aboard the USS Arizona, moored at berth F7 on the southeast side of Ford Island, inboard of the repair ship USS Vestal, the crew was beginning to stir. Some were preparing for morning colors, others for breakfast or shore leave. The ship's band was even reportedly preparing for a music competition. Unbeknownst to them, waves of Japanese aircraft, launched from carriers hundreds of miles away, were already streaking towards Oahu. At approximately 7:55 a.m. Hawaiian time, the first Japanese planes swooped down on the unsuspecting airfields and ships. The attack was sudden, brutal, and devastatingly effective. On Battleship Row, the Arizona quickly became a prime target. Initial reports from survivors spoke of confusion, the sounds of explosions initially mistaken by some for training exercises, or even an accidental detonation on another vessel. But the reality soon became horrifyingly clear. Contrary to some early beliefs that she was struck by torpedoes, detailed post-war analysis and survivor accounts confirm the Arizona was hit by multiple bombs dropped by Japanese Nakajima B-5N Kate bombers, which had been specially converted for high-altitude, level bombing runs, carrying modified naval shells as armor-piercing bombs. One of these bombs struck the Arizona near her No. 4 gun turret, causing damage but not proving fatal. Another may have been a near miss that struck the USS Vestal moored alongside, or detonated in the water between the two ships. But then came the cataclysmic blow. An 800-kilogram, or approximately 1,760-pound, armor-piercing bomb, most likely dropped from a Kate operating at high altitude, found its mark. It's believed this bomb struck the Arizona's forecastle, slightly to starboard of the centerline, near her No. 2 main gun turret. The massive projectile, a converted 16-inch naval shell, tore through the ship's armored decks. It didn't explode immediately. Its fuse was likely delayed to allow it to penetrate deep into the ship before detonating. This delay proved catastrophic. The bomb is thought to have set off the Arizona's forward black powder magazine, used for the saluting guns and as ignition charges for the main battery's smokeless powder. This initial explosion then triggered a far more devastating chain reaction, igniting the vast stores of smokeless powder for the Arizona's 14-inch guns, well over 1 million pounds, or over 450,000 kilograms of it. At approximately 8:10 a.m., the USS Arizona erupted. A colossal fireball, described by eyewitnesses as a mushroom cloud of smoke and flame, shot hundreds of feet into the air. The force of the explosion was unimaginable. It was as if the mighty battleship had been instantly disemboweled. The entire forward part of the ship was obliterated, the hull splitting, and the massive steel structures above, including the forward tripod mast and conning tower, collapsing downwards into the inferno. The shockwave buffeted nearby ships and was felt across the harbor. The Arizona, mortally wounded, sank at her moorings within an estimated 9 minutes, her burning superstructure a horrifying beacon amid the chaos and destruction unfolding across Pearl Harbor. The human cost was staggering and heartbreaking. Of the approximately 1,512 crewmen, sailors, and Marines on board or accounted for that morning, a total of 1,177 were killed. This single loss represented nearly half of all American fatalities at Pearl Harbor on December 7th. Among the dead were Rear Admiral Isaac C. Kidd, commander of Battleship Division 1, and the Arizona's own skipper, Captain Franklin Van Valkenburg. Both men were posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for their courage and devotion to duty at their posts. Countless acts of heroism occurred in those terrifying moments, many unrecorded. There were stories of the ship's band, which had been on deck, continuing to play as the attack began, a poignant and tragic detail. For the 335 men who survived the destruction of the Arizona, the memories of that morning, the fire, the screams, the violent end of their ship and their shipmates, would be an indelible scar. In the immediate aftermath of the attack, Pearl Harbor was a scene of carnage. Fires raged, oil slickened the waters, and rescue efforts were underway across the harbor. For the USS Arizona, however, there was little that could be done. The damage was far too extensive, the loss of life too great. She was deemed unsalvageable, effectively stricken in place. Her shattered hull, resting on the shallow seabed of Pearl Harbor, became an instant war grave. Over the following months and years, as the United States geared up for war, efforts were made to salvage what was usable from the Arizona's wreck. Her aft superstructure, which was less damaged than the forward sections, was cut away. Some of her armament was also removed. Most significantly, her two aft main gun turrets, turrets 3 and 4, along with their powerful 14-inch guns, were salvaged. These guns, which had never fired a shot in anger from the Arizona's decks, were transferred to the U.S. Army and emplaced as coastal defense batteries on Oahu, intended to protect the island from a potential invasion. One set was named Battery Arizona at Kahi Point, and the other Battery Pennsylvania, after her sister ship, on the Mokapu Peninsula. While the structures and some machinery were removed, the hull itself and the remains of over 900 of her crew, entombed within, were left undisturbed. Even before the war ended, there was a desire to commemorate the great sacrifice made at Pearl Harbor, and particularly aboard the USS Arizona. In 1950, Admiral Arthur W. Radford, Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, ordered that a flagpole be erected over the sunken battleship, and a daily flag-raising ceremony was instituted. This marked the first official step towards a permanent memorial. The Pacific War Memorial Commission was established in 1949 by the Territory of Hawaii to champion the cause for a lasting tribute. The campaign to build a fitting memorial gained momentum through public and private efforts. Famously, a benefit concert in 1961 by rock and roll superstar Elvis Presley raised a significant sum, over $64,000, which contributed substantially to the memorial fund. The design for the memorial was entrusted to Honolulu-based architect Alfred Price, an Austrian-born immigrant who himself had been interned in Hawaii for a short period after the Pearl Harbor attack, due to his nationality. Price envisioned a structure that would convey a profound message. His design for the 184-foot or 56-meter-long memorial is a striking white edifice that spans the midsection of the sunken Arizona, but does not touch it. Price described its form, which sags in the center but stands strong and vigorous at both ends, as expressing initial defeat and ultimate victory, while maintaining an overall feeling of serenity and contemplation. Construction of the USS Arizona Memorial was completed in 1961, and it was formally dedicated on Memorial Day, May 30th, 1962. It consists of 3 main sections: an entry room, a large central assembly room, open to the elements, which provides views of the submerged deck of the Arizona below, and the shrine room. The shrine room is a solemn space where a massive marble wall bears the names of all 1,177 sailors, anglers, and Marines who were killed on the Arizona on December 7, 1941. For many visitors, one of the most moving sights is the tears of the Arizona. Small droplets of oil that continue to leak from the ship's fuel bunkers more than 80 years after her sinking, rising to the surface and spreading into iridescent slicks. It's as if the ship itself is still weeping for its lost crew. The USS Arizona Memorial, now administered by the National Park Service as part of the Pearl Harbor National Memorial, has become a place of pilgrimage, drawing millions of visitors from around the world each year. It is a site of quiet reflection, a place to learn, and a place to remember. In a unique and poignant tradition, some survivors of the USS Arizona have chosen to have their ashes interred within the wreck by National Park Service divers, rejoining their shipmates in their final resting place. The legacy of the USS Arizona is profound and multifaceted. She stands as an enduring symbol of the immense sacrifice made by American service members. Her destruction was a pivotal moment, galvanizing a nation and marking its formal entry into World War II. The rallying cry, "Remember Pearl Harbor," which echoed across America throughout the war, is inextricably linked to the image of the burning, sinking Arizona. Her fate also served as a stark lesson about the dangers of unpreparedness in an increasingly volatile world. Today, ongoing research and preservation efforts continue at the wreck site, carefully monitored by the National Park Service. The USS Arizona is more than just a historic artifact. She is an active archaeological site and a hallowed war grave. Her story is a perpetual reminder not only of a date which will live in infamy, but also of the human element at the heart of every conflict, the lives altered, and the memories that must be preserved. The silent, submerged battleship continues to tell a powerful story of valor, loss, and the enduring importance of striving for peace. The story of the USS Arizona is one of tragic loss, but also of remembrance and resilience. It reminds us that history is not just about dates and events, but about the people who lived through them, and those who were lost. If you've ever visited the memorial, or if the story of the Arizona touches you, share your thoughts in the comments below. We create these histories to ensure these sacrifices are never forgotten. So if you believe in the importance of remembering, consider subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the echoes of the past. Your support helps us continue this mission.